Alright, let's look at what you need to do for the internals for this modification. So first of all, they uses the very small micro switch. So what I did was, of course, I set up a MOSFET for the entire circuit. Initially, I thought there are a lot of space inside for the channeling of wire, but it is not the case. So you really have to be careful when placing the wire. Make sure that it doesn't really obstruct the trigger once you put it back in. This kind of another pair of wire you can consider putting at the other end of the shell, the other side of the shell, instead of clamping it here. I think it'll work, but you do have to spend some time to position them nicely. Now for the part whereby you host the so-called the motor, I believe you do have to cut out a little bit here and here, kind of to make space. Yeah, initially I did some clearing for this portion as well, but I don't think that's necessary anymore. Depending on how big is the 3D flywheel. I think the one I end up is not that big, so yeah, so it works fine. Next, of course, this is where I place my MOSFET. So over here you can see there will be a quick release, so in the future if I want, I can sort of replace them. Yeah. Okay, so next, for the trigger portion, I realized this portion over here, when you look at it from the top down perspective, it's going to look something like this. So what I did is I rounded up this portion, kind of filed it such that it's a little bit round, also the edges here and the edges here. I realized the very kind of angular pusher actually get in the way of the cylinder itself, the rotation cylinder itself. So that's what I did. I filed it down so there's a better kind of entry. Okay, this is the motor. Okay, I use back the cage itself. You realize this piece over here, it actually have it used to have a piece here, then a piece here. So what it is I filed it down so that I can reuse back that piece to so-called clamp the two motors together so that it will not get in the way. Then of course the flywheel. So I'm not a fan of 3D printed flywheel myself, and first time doing the mini flywheel. So I realized no, even you fit it in, after a while it will not be that tight. So I did apply a little bit of super glue once before I insert it into it. Yeah, so you can see that this is more or less the so-called the clearance that you need so that you can put it back to the shelf. I didn't really develop a very high crush one. I just wanted to be able to fire off the dart smoothly. Yeah. Okay, so next, this is important because if you want to fire off like your worker darts and your waffle head darts, now initially this portion is just about maybe here until here. Okay, I did have to clear out a fair chunk of the material from here. Okay, because the cylinder is rotating while the pusher is pushing in, and then the darts will start to exit. The initial portion here, okay, actually obstruct the darts from exiting the cylinder itself. So I realized the feeding is really almost like you can't get the darts out. So you do have to find out quite a fair bit of the material from this side, whereby the cylinder is rotating in this direction. So while it's rotating, it's trying to come out, and then if there's a piece over here, you actually obstruct the darts from coming off, and you will have feeding issues. Right, so back to the three-wheel flywheel. When you printed it out, the so-called the hole may not be that easy to push into the motor itself. So of course I use a drill which is also 2 mm. I believe it's 2 mm drill, just to drill it through and then make sure things can be pushed in. Again, I personally think that this setup probably will not last very long, the 3D flywheel. I don't have any other options as of now, so it is what it is. and I just yeah, just go for it, and I just go for it and try. So a bit of a word of caution, it is really you need to try out on your own if you really want to, and at your own risk, okay, and mod with caution, right? So fair warning. So that's what it is. Yeah, so let's just put it back up and see how it goes. Alright, let's take some FPS reading before we put on the cosmetic kit. So I'll be firing off the Revolver hit darts, right, to check. Yeah, so let's give it a try. Over here. I think this is an error 172. Okay, 62. 75. 75.8. 68. 74.8. I think that's about it. Yeah, so I didn't expect to have a very high kind of reading, as I didn't really do the cage such that it is of a very high crush. Okay, I just wanted to at least fire off smoothly. Yeah, so yep, at least I think it's, looking at it, I think I'm quite happy. Yep. Alright, initially I wanted to do this modification such that it is for the worker darts, but somehow I feel that the feeding is not exactly that smooth, but I did some modification. Let's see how whether it can work well. Alright, okay, so let's just fire off some worker darts. Again, this must be an error. No reading. 89. Oh, hit the side. Hit the side again. Okay. Alright, so let's take a look at how we can assemble all these 3D printed parts for our blaster over here. So a few things that you need this type of kind of hexagon shape kind of brass kind of stuff. I don't know what to call it, whereby you can thread the so-called the screws in. So I'm using those screws that can be tightened up using a Allen key over here. Yep, so let's look at what we need. I think this is size, the length is 28. They all takes M3 screws, so 28 you need 3 of them, 12 you need 1, and then 8 you need 2, and then you have a 6 you need 1. This is a typical kind of battery screw that we use for our Strive battery cover, right? You can get it from Worker, I believe. Then you have this M3 screw. Like I say, this is length 18 M3, and you have 4. 16 you have 4, and then 10 you have 2. So let's go ahead and see how we can assemble all these 3D printed parts. Right, so over here, this is the barrel. Okay, as you can see over here, right? Yep, so I'll start with this, and this is the top rail. Okay, you can see that I just dry brush them. Okay, so there is one part that's angle, alright, and then you can see this hexagon shape. So what we're going to do is we take this M12, I will not say M12, length 12, which will just slot in between over here, as you can see, right? You fit nicely, and then you position this. There's a screw pull here, and you're supposed to just fit it in. And now once you fit in, you just need to use your kind of point it to a light, and if you can see through it, then you're in good position. So what you're gonna do is take the M10, I was not saying M10, length 10, right? Okay, screw, and you're gonna fit it into the so-called hole. Again, if you have problems like placing the screw in, a very simple trick is just to get hold of a kind of like a screwdriver, just point it in, then give it a few turns, and then it will kind of widen the hole a little bit, and then you can go ahead and kind of screw it in. So over here you simply just tighten it. So the so-called this hexagon stuff, okay, basically you have the thread, so you're not screwing into the 3D kind of printed parts, so instead you're tightening the thread itself. So this will give you a lot more kind of longevity for your parts, right? So you're threading into the brass kind of stuff, and you're tightening it on both sides, so that is going to make it pretty secure, right? So you just go ahead and tighten it until you cannot go any further, and that will be it. So I take a while. All right, so yeah, as you can see, I think we're almost there. All right, yeah, okay, we're there, and you can see this pretty much both sides, okay, and there you have it. It's pretty secure, right? And it's not going to wear off your 3D parts at all. So that's one, right? So the next one is the more tricky one, this which is the front piece. The reason why I have to do things like this, break it into two pieces rather than print it in one whole shot, is also because my printer can only afford to print maximum up to 140 in length. So that's the limit, and that's why you see my maximum part can only be this size. Okay, then they have to kind of combine, right? So over here, let me just demonstrate roughly what's gonna happen. So this is gonna go inside here, as you can see, and then okay, you should have a 28. Okay, you should be able to thread through this, okay, nicely like this. Okay, and you protrude a little bit out because it is going to kind of go into here. There's a hole that you can fit it like this, and then there's another 28 piece that also thread through both pieces, kind of interlock them together, and that's why it's going to be more kind of secure. Okay, let me just remove this. So yeah, so it might be a good idea to try to see whether this piece can thread through. Now when I say tricky, is mainly because over here at the very front, over here there is like two of this hole, whereby you need to fit the the length 8, okay, and right in the middle you have to put the the length 6. Right, so in the middle goes the M6. Okay, so it takes a little bit of a fiddling. Okay, if you have a kind of a pincer, it might be good. Okay, so I forgot to bring mine. Maybe I'll go ahead and locate mine and bring it here. Okay, but anyway, I got it in. So a little trick is maybe you want to kind of use this piece and go through this hole. This hole itself, once you print out, it should be pretty kind of it should go sort of take the M3 screw in pretty without much resistance, because it should not be too much of a resistance. Okay, so okay, so you can kind of screw it in and just briefly hold it in position. Then you put in the two sides. Okay, go in like this, one here, M8, and then the other one kind of you have to also position it nicely, and then just push it in. Okay, so they are now all in. All right, okay, this is the tricky part, whereby a lot of times the two side pin will just fall off. Now if it keep falling off, what you can do is use one of the thread and then just thread it through, and then just hold it into place before you slot this in. So you're supposed to slot the muzzle in. Alright, okay, so this portion is going to stop the pole from coming off, and then this is going to take the 28. Alright, so we're going to like position it, and okay, as you can see, once you slot in, it kind of sometimes you shift out. Okay, you just use something to push them to the side, and then you just drop in. okay, and you're good to go. There you go. Okay, so what I like to do is maybe just put this piece in, kind of interlock them, and it will now at least you will not fall off, right? So you have this kind of position. Now the rest should be quite straightforward. Okay, so you have the M18, no, length 18 and the length 16. All right, so what we're gonna do, first take out this piece. This is the back. All right, again, what you need to do is you just need to slot it in, okay, all the way in, and it will kind of stop where it's supposed to stop. Okay, and you cannot go any further, so you flush all the way to the back. Okay, and then what you need to do is take this piece again, try to not let the this brass piece drop off, and you just slot in, and then this kind of barrel will go in here nicely. This is the original barrel. Okay, so you just slot it in, and once you position it nicely, okay, I think after printing it's a bit kind of there's some resistance. Okay, and then you can slot it in. Right, so you go in perfectly fine like this. Right, okay. Okay, so it drop off. Okay, so again you can put it in. Let me just position it nicely. Okay, and then kind of okay, from this side. Okay, it goes in. All right, so I guess you can leave it like this, and then this will be the piece. Excuse me, sorry. Okay, so these are the teeth. All right, you match to this lower Picatinny rail, and then there's this piece over here for your kind of brass barrel, brass material to come in. So you can put one in. All right, and then immediately you can actually try to tighten it to go and secure this over here. And what you choose is you will pick the length 16, the shorter one. Yep. Okay, so let's put it here. Again, you can before you actually do this portion, you can kind of make sure that you can access. By the way, when you print this, it is in this orientation. I think the only piece that needs support is the barrel. Okay, and the rest is without support. And if you print it this is printed flat, this is printed this way, and this is of course printed flat. And then yeah, okay, so when you print it out, some of these holes will be kind of there'll be a thin layer, because that is to facilitate the printing. What you need to do is you need to use a small drill and just drill through the holes to access to the kind of to let you have the hole for the for the screw to go in. All right, so yep, so just kind of screw it in. Okay, I'll suggest you kind of like test fit all your parts before you paint them. Okay, that's what I did, so I know everything will go in well. And then you can kind of access it nicely. Okay, so I'm in a odd angle, so as I might not be able to look at it that well. Okay, yep, okay, I think it's going in pretty well. All right, okay, so it's to get this first piece, kind of, you don't need to be too tight. Okay, just trying to get this piece. Even if you screw it in, you still can move it out a little bit, but that's not what I want to do. Okay, so next you can put this pole in as well, all the way in. Okay, and then take another piece of 16, length 16, and again you can kind of place it in. Right, so you can see that once you place it in, it more or less it start to tighten the whole structure a little bit more. Right, and it can hold pretty well. Right, so we can do that. Okay, now the side should be able to, you should not be seeing the screw protruding. It should sit inside. Okay, next, the last 28 piece, there is one hole over here. You're supposed to slot it in. So now you can see a total of 1, 2, 3 kind of protruding, right? Okay, and then let's take this piece. So you should align it, okay, such that all the 3 pins, okay, should be able to go in nicely. Make sure the wire is nicely exposed, okay, through this kind of access over here. Okay, and then, okay, you're wondering the side, this tool, there is we are not screwing it yet because it's going to be secured by this piece. Okay, so we are going to do this portion. Okay, so I'm just going to flip it at the side. Okay, okay, so again, now is you're like almost as if you're clamping the pieces together using the brass kind of insert. So none of the 3D parts is going to be affected. In fact, it's going to be held in place. Okay, okay, so you can see that it's clamping it in. Okay, and you see that there's these 4 holes, so behind them are all the brass pole as well, if you were to recall their positioning. Okay, okay, so let's get it in. Make sure the screws are not protruding. Okay, okay, it should hold pretty well. Okay, just do a double check. Okay, as long as it's not moving, I think it's fine. Tighten both ends. Okay, alright, I think it's pretty alright. It's not gonna move on me. Alright, so I think it's time to just remove this portion. It's not important over here. Okay, okay, let me just remove it first. Okay, alright, okay, so this part you see is still a little bit flexing, kind of opening up, but then again there is an insert over here. Later on you clamp again 2 pieces of screw in, and you will kind of tighten it all up. So now this is the big piece. What you can do is you can just straight away position your screw first, so that later on you do not need to do that. Okay, kind of position it nicely first. Okay, and you can see that because I already test fit them, it'll go in quite alright. Okay, alright, let me just tighten it a bit. Okay, make sure it's not protruding so that I can slide in easily. Okay, again, the only piece that needs support while printing is the barrel. Okay, and it's only one portion. Yeah. Okay, so once you have this, you're supposed to put it this way. Okay, so this piece inside. Okay, just slot it in. Next, okay, push it. Okay, and then you can just push all the way. This piece is going to stop this piece from moving any more backwards, and you're in position. Okay, so this tool, when it goes in, there is a brass piece in the between, so when you tighten it up, you just pull both ends together and you will have the clamping effect. Right, so you can kind of put in one. Alright, once you screw in the front and the back, you can see this is done. Okay, so you can see that this is like, you know, even like part of the design. That's why I chose this style of screws. You can see 1 and 2 over here, and then 1 and 2 over here, and that's about it. Okay, so this actually acts as the battery compartment. Alright, so at the end of the day, okay, you put your battery there. Then this is the cover. So you can see there's the side, the kind of a teeth, and then there's a hole. So all you need to do is just to position it and sink it down, and that's about it. And then there's a hole. So you should loosen the hole such that it's wide enough initially, so that when you put the screw in, it actually go right through without much of a resistance. That'll be good, so that you don't need to, you know, screw a kind of do a lot of pushing in. Okay, I should have widened the inner part as well. I think because of the painting, kind of less accessible, but eventually should be able to over time. So again, there's like a length 6, a kind of a brass piece inside to receive the screw. So that's the one that is under the thread is using, so it doesn't deteriorate over time. Okay, so once you're done, that's it. You have screw it in, and there you go. You have your blaster assembler, and yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. You can still access. All right. Okay, and can still fire off, and there you go. Okay, this is my modification to the Revolver. Okay, and yeah, and thanks for watching.